Well, welcome back to the Bryce Report, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are rejoined today by Tiffany Cianci, who has been all over the place. One of the most amazing things that I have seen in the last 5 to 10 years is the emergence of normal people living completely different lives that have gotten frustrated by the lack of information, the things that are wrong in the system, that have stepped out of their comfort zone and basically began to research, call people, meet people, talk to people. And then all of a sudden, they pop up on the scene, just like Tiffany, who just got done over at InfoWars, friends over there. And, Tiffany, you have been an abundance of information for people who knew nothing about private equity or the wrongdoings in business. And America is completely filled with crony capital. And private equity is at the very tip of the spear of crony capitalism. So I know it's been like 4 months since we talked last.
Yeah.
A lot has happened. You've been all over the place. I've been following your journey pretty closely. So just kind of open up the kimono and let people know what's been developing here and what you're seeing in the PE space.
I wish I had like good news. I don't have good news.
News is news.
When you and I talked last time, it was right after my big like 2008 prediction video that went super viral. And I said that we were coming up on the pop of the private equity bubble and that it was going to be catastrophic. And about a month ago, I said that the bubble was bursting and that private equity had I made a video and I said private equity had $3.8 trillion of unsellable assets. That is an insane amount of capital just sitting there that they're collecting fees on with no returns and no hope of closing out funds. And they started really lobbying hard to President Trump to ask for a bailout. Now it's a bailout that they saw coming way down the road. They started lobbying for access to our 401k money. Everyone knew that Trump couldn't give them a capital bailout. He could not give them a check. The American people would never have allowed it. Never. But if they can find a way to manipulate our financial resources to mitigate their risk, that's something different. It's a different kind of a bailout. And they started lobbying Trump. And at the same time, the crypto lobby, which is one of the most powerful lobbies in DC in this administration.
Second largest, yeah.
Second largest. The crypto lobby was simultaneously lobbying for something very, very similar. And it was a lot more popular than what private equity wanted. They wanted to make it where 401k managers could invest your funds in crypto and alternative assets. Okay, that's what the crypto lobby wanted. And that was more popular, quite a bit more popular than anything that we saw over on the private equity side, which also wanted that access. Now, the problem with private equity is that they operate under a specific fee structure that makes it very, very hard to get people to tolerate the costs of investing with them.
Correct.
And one of the things that stopped private equity from being an investment mechanism for 401ks this whole time is that the fees and the risk are so high that any American could sue your fund manager for violations of your fiduciary obligations if they invested there. So they won't bear the risk because it's so unsure and it's so high risk. And so what happened is that Trump decided that he was going to grant the crypto lobby a win by allowing crypto to be a new investment mechanism for 401ks. And on the backside of it, he included private equity.
Yeah.
And not just private equity, but that they could put it into target funds. Correct. Now, a lot, like if you're in your 401k, you can be like, I want an index fund and I want a mutual fund and I want moderate risk and I want, but if you choose a target fund, that's you saying, I want you to do whatever you need to do to get me retired in 2055. And you don't get to see everything that's going on in there. You don't get to choose line by line what's going on in there. And a very large percentage of American workers choose target funds.
Yes.
Because that's the goal, is to get retired by your target. Now, the other thing you put in there is that you can no longer sue your fund managers for violations of their fiduciary obligations.
He had to in order to make that work. Correct.
He had to. And I keep saying, pro tip, if you need immunity, you are doing something wrong.
Yep.
No industry in American history has ever said, we need to make it where no one can sue us because no one wants to sue us.
Right.
That's not a thing.
Yeah. Ask the pharmaceutical companies.
Ask pharma.
Yeah. They're very familiar.
Ask Chem Ag, because they're doing that right now. Them with the American Legislative Exchange Council are fighting to get immunity in the states right now so that farmers can't sue them for getting cancer.
Yeah.
Or pesticides, right? So
And they're also stealing farmland all throughout the country. I mean,
shocking,
it's
right?
everywhere. The corporatocracy taking
Oh,
over farmlands is a
I think
disaster
a lot
waiting
of
to happen.
people thought Bill Gates was buying up farmland to control food supply. That's part of it. I actually think he was buying up farmland for water rights because
Sure.
data centers are going to need the water,
Well,
and he
data
wants to
centers
control
and
the water rights.
the next major war will be fought over water.
Yeah.
Like our water is contaminated throughout the world. As you're drinking some, it's perfect timing.
Well,
All
mine's out of a filter, but yes,
right, I'm with you. I'm doing it too. We're
I
getting
drink
in.
2 gallons a day, every day. But truly, just a couple weeks ago, Trump signed this executive order and has now made it where if you have your 401k in a target fund, your fund manager can now invest it with very toxic private equity assets. And they're frankly not qualified to know.
All right.
These fund managers are not qualified to make good decisions on this. They've had no training. They're not allowed to invest there regularly. They don't know what they're doing and they're going to get manipulated. And so right now we're at a place where we have opened, like, if you look at the articles that have come out since then, and you might want to clip a couple of them in here,
Mhm.
there are articles in Fortune magazine, Forbes, Barron's that say the private equity golden goose has arrived.
Yep.
Access to 401ks opens the floodgates for private equity. That is a real headline. These are headlines that
Yeah.
are happening in the biggest financial market publications in the world. I'm sorry, it didn't say that people that need to invest their retirement funds golden goose have arrived. That's not the headline. It says private equity's golden goose has arrived. Because these magazines aren't for us. They're to tell every billionaire that made a bad investment with private equity that is currently paying 2 and 20% like fees
Mhm.
on money they can't get out because they can't sell any of their assets because they're stuck under their adjustable rate debt, that your bailout is coming.
Yeah, it's a liquidity trigger.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
The exit liquidity door has opened. Now, I
Exactly.
will push back because, like, that's just kind of what I do. We're gonna have open conversations. I
Let's
will
do it.
not say that fund managers are not qualified to select private equity deals. They certainly have business acumen. It's just a
I wouldn't
different
say all
selection.
private equity, though. I'm talking about pirate equity. I'm talking about
Oh
scary
yeah.
private equity.
Oh yeah. No, there's gonna be there's good and bad in everything. There's gonna be a massive swath of this, which just becomes exit liquidity for dead assets. Private equity deals that had $200-300 million invested, the assets have been stripped. It's basically a ghost, and they'll actually have people coming in and buying their shares. Now,
Yep.
on the other hand, there is a positive to this, because when you open the doors for private equity in 401ks, you also get rid of something that I completely disagree with, which is the accredited investor statute. So a lot of these good private equity, because private equity, by the way, has had the greatest return. You will outpace the stock market if you're good at picking the right deals.
You weren't
And
until 3 years ago, but right now, if you look at Yale and Harvard's assets they're trying to offload right now,
oh
Yale
yeah,
over the last 3 years in their $7 billion got a 5.7% return.
yeah,
That
yeah.
certainly did not outpace the stock market, and they were paying 2 and 20. So they're paying 1.5 billion a year in fees.
Oh, I know these are there's a massive crony capital problem in this country, and even private equity deals from a private equity guy, they're hard to find, and they're usually buddy deals. Oh, I got this deal over here. This guy's involved. His money's in. We can't lose. It's just kind of how it is. But the accredited investor statute has kept Americans out of good private equity deals for a very long time. It's the government saying you don't have enough money. We're smarter than you, so you can't put your money in these deals. And I think that is a symbol of freedom. So there is good there. And I think everyone should own Bitcoin in their portfolio. I don't think crypto's a volatile
I'm
asset.
speaking at the Bitcoin conference in DC on September 23rd, 25th,
Oh God,
25th.
now I'm gonna have to go to DC. I got to go to DC I'm a sponsor for the Veterans Parade on November
Come
9th.
on down.
All right, I'm coming.
That's
I'm
my
coming.
those are my stomping grounds. But look, I am not opposed to being able to diversify and control your assets. I am
Sure.
fundamentally opposed to creating a circumstance where your fiduciary obligations as a fund manager are no longer enforceable by the people you are meant to represent and fiduciary
Agreed.
obligated to. I am never going to be okay with that. And I am absolutely not okay with the fact that, let's be clear, when they were trying to sell this, the articles we saw, it was either Forbes or Fortune, had a headline. It literally said, when you're able to invest in Harvard and Yale's continuation fund, you're going to get 1,000% returns so good it will make your brain melt. That was a headline in
Wow.
a financial magazine
Not
that
a
they
post on
paid
Twitter.
to promote. They paid to promote it in the Apple newsfeed. so
course.
that regular people would see it. Now, I am sorry, if you have to say that you're going to get 1,000% returns in a day, that's what it promised, in a day, that means that it's a secondaries market artificial valuation that is being flipped in a continuation fund because it had no fair market value and no one would buy it. That's what regular people are going to get access to. They're not getting access to the premier AAA fund at Blackstone.
No,
they're going to create garbage continuation CLO type funds, and they're going to bail out the wealthy, and they're going to subsidize the risk. That's it. We're socializing it. We're going to socialize the risk, and that's what regular people are going to get access to. And under the 2 and 20 model, which your viewers may or may not know, I don't know if you talk about that, but if I invest $50,000 in my 401k, and over 10 years, that turns into $150,000, which hopefully it's more than that, but let's just say that's a round number, okay? Statistically, you're going to pay 0.5 to 0.7% in fees over that decade for management. That's $7,700 in fees. If I invest $50,000 in private equity through my 401k and I get $150,000 out over 10 years, I am going to pay between $57,000 and $67,000 in fees. Statistically, unless you are investing at least $100 million, the fees on the gains alone outpace any possible windfall you could get. You cannot succeed when you are giving an average of 62% of your gains back in fees. The private equity firm always wins. They are a casino. They always win. And that is why this is so dangerous, because they're allowing people to think that that's what they're going to gain access to. And it might look like it, but they're not going to know what that fund really did for a decade. It could look like, even to the fund manager, that fund is performing effectively for a decade, because private equity is not required to release actual valuations or any actual auditing of the valuations of their portfolio. None. The most they're saying they might give are original investment and estimated valuation. That's nothing. That's monopoly money. And so what we're going to see are a bunch of Americans that have trusted their fund managers. These fund managers could be conflicted. They could be getting flown to Vegas for big conventions, getting told to buy into these funds with huge windfalls in commissions, and we would not know.
No, that's going to happen.
100%.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
These people are going to, maybe the fund is investing $1 million, and maybe it says now that valuation at 1,000% returns, because it's a secondaries market flip, is worth $10 million on the first day. And those people are going to open their quarterly 401k statement and go, oh my gosh, my retirement is secure. I am good.
Right.
And 10 years from now, when they actually get their fair market valuation, one, they're going to take back 62% of any money you did make over that whole time. And that fund is going to drop. And secondly, it's going to come in, and they might have drained 3 companies through that fund by then, and they might all be bankrupt, and they might have nobody else to flip it to. And when they do, all of those funds will be worthless, and no one will have known. And for a decade, not even the fund managers would have seen it coming. Yeah, and you can't sue.
It's that's the biggest red flag is removing the lawsuit capability. That's the biggest red flag. Huge. I'll go back. A 2 and 20 is pretty simple to explain. A 2 and 20 means every year there's a 2% of the capital comes out as a management fee. Primarily, the private equity operators are not the operators of the company. So the 20% is a 20% of the carry. So that's of profits that are made. So they're getting 20% of the profits. Shareholders get 80%, and the shareholders paying that firm 2%, who also gets 20% of the profit. That's just how it works. The big problem here is that they're privately regulated, which means that they don't have the same standards as a public company.
Correct.
So there's no formal audit. There's no approved audit. There's no SEC oversight. And now they're going to be making public funds. So let's put this into perspective. Your average fund manager is also charging 1%. So that 2 and 20 becomes 3 and 20.
Yep.
And God knows how much of the 20 they're sharing with the fund manager in exchange for the exit liquidity coming in through promotions of the target funds. This is a very, very delicate.
They're going to be continuation funds to bail them out.
Of course.
For at least 4 years. That's all they're going to get access to. And continuation funds are built on a house of cards. It's literally just speculative valuation. That's why there's 1,000% return, because you get to buy it at a discounted rate, and they still give it the valuation. They had it at fair market listing price. So if they take $100 million for $1 billion fund because they couldn't sell it, you're still going to get $1 billion valuation in the fund. It's fictitious. It's entirely fictitious.
Well, it fits right in with the rest of our economic system. Everything is
Really, quite.
fictitious. Like literally today, Powell came out and didn't announce a rate cut. He just announced that we need to make some policy changes, and I was wrong on tariffs. Everything is up. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Everything is up. And
Yep.
that's great. And I'm happy because the system we're in is Keynesian economics. It's designed around central control, central planning. A central bank is a construct of communism. It is on page 5 of the Karl Marx Manifesto. And when you look at what's happening right now, we have one guy who no one likes, who he makes a statement into the wind of the world, and all the assets go up. Now he could change his stance tomorrow morning and say the opposite and watch everything collapse. We're in a controlled environment where money is moved on the whims of those in power. And that's, I mean, that's literally why Bitcoin was created. So like you're looking at a system right now that's now adding in a defaulting system. $3 trillion of worthless assets are now going to have value in the marketplace to someone who doesn't know that they are exit liquidity.
Yep.
This is all part of a moving chessboard that changes the rules every 4 to 5 years.
This is a bailout.
This is this is a bailout.
They bail out the same way that banks were bailed out in '08 with pension money. We are going to be bailing them out with our 401k money, and there will be nothing left for the 401k, for the working class, for the person that's just grinding and trying to hope that when they get there, they'll have just enough to scrape by. We are going to have nothing left, and they will have taken all of it.
But the trick is that they will be using money printing, inflation, lower interest rates to create the illusion of success, because the market and the economy are drastically different things.
Yeah.
The market is going to boom. It's already set in motion. I mean, what happened today pretty much guarantees that over the next 6 to 8 months. Does that mean we will have more jobs? Absolutely not. There's 10 million layoffs targeted by the end of the year. This is the confluence that people conflate market and economy. They're totally separate beasts. So what you're talking about to people is very valuable. And I think it's important that you state that a lot. The economy and the market are totally different things. One can suck and the other one's great. And it happens all the time.
I also think that the indicators that we use to determine the value or the success of our market are grossly misaligned right now. What we have is the
Absolutely.
system that is determining the value or the success of our marketplace based on only how it's performing for the very, very wealthy.
Yes.
And nothing is actually looking at the actual buying power of the working class. And we used to have some like,
There's buying power in the working class?
no, there's really not, right?
No,
Like
it's gone.
an economist just 2 weeks ago did a really great analysis online. I'll have to send it to you.
Please.
An economist did a really great analysis online a couple weeks ago about what it would take today for us to have the same like buying power at minimum wage that we had when it was created. Did you see what it would take?
It's like
$66 an hour
$66 an hour. Yeah.
to have
Like
the
minimum
same buying power we had at minimum wage when
minimum
minimum
wage.
wage was created.
Correct. $66 an hour. And that's for a McDonald's worker.
That's for like a McDonald's worker, for us to be able to afford to live, eat, transport. That's it. It was just looking at the big three, just enough to scrape by and eat.
Yeah.
That's it. And we would need $66 an hour to live as well as we did on minimum wage when minimum wage was created. That's it. $66 an hour.
Yep.
So when you look at the market, we're creating a K-shaped economy right now that really, I
Absolutely.
believe, is terrifying. And if your viewers don't know what a K-shaped economy is, it's where you have the very wealthy going up, 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 and the working class going down, 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 down. So you have extreme wealth being created and extreme poverty simultaneously.
And in that middle, that gray area spread on a K-shaped chart where you see one going up, one going down, that middle area, that's the middle class evaporating. That's what's happening.
That's the makings of a terrifying revolution. It's flipping a monopoly board. And I would love to see us not reach that point. But we are torpedoing towards it.
Yes.
We are literally full steam ahead. And these actions that keep getting taken that serve the wealthy, these politicians that continue to not serve the working class of America, small businesses that are getting steamrolled, monopolies that are being created, the unwillingness of our government, our politicians to act, to break up and antitrust these businesses. We are reaching a point that is so dangerous for the long-term success of our country. You know, somebody told me the other day, don't worry, there's going to be a Black Flag event and they'll get us all back together. Let me be clear. Doesn't matter how you feel about tragedies that have happened historically in our country. At each point that we have had one that reunited this country, it was because Americans still believed in the American dream and found it worth fighting for. We don't have that right now. So if that were the case, if we went to war, if there was something big that people are telling me they think would reunite us, let me be clear. People would be looking and going, have fun with that draft, boys.
Yeah.
Because the young people don't believe they are represented, and they are not. They're not heard. They are not spoken for.
No.
They're not defended. And our politicians continue to collect
They're made fun
that
of,
money.
actually. They just get poked at all
Eat
day.
some more avocado toast, kids.
Yeah.
No, they're working 3 side hustles and can't afford a no longer dollar menu. And by the way, yesterday at Dollar Tree, they added $24 items.
The $24
Okay.
tree. Yeah, it works out for
They
everyone.
added $24 items people were posting about yesterday at Dollar Tree. People don't have hope because there is none for them. And we need to create the circumstances for them to feel represented, to feel heard, to feel seen, and to take part in this American experiment, or this experiment is going to fail. And I would like to see it succeed.
Yeah, and I will say this. I am, and I've said this for a long time, I am extremely excited for Gen Z.
Me
They
too.
they are getting tougher by the day. They don't take crap from anyone. You might take their avocado milk toast. They're trying to be healthy. Like I don't eat avocado toast. I eat meat. They'll get there. Trust me. They'll get to the carnivore stuff later. But they are
It's expensive. Avocados are 3 for $5.
I was just going to say that 4 steaks the other night for my family that I had to cook were $92 for 4
Yep.
steaks. So I mean, it's ridiculous. They have to kind of keep it that way. But
The
Gen
meat
Z,
prices last month were up 57% wholesale.
oh, here's an interesting thing. Here, so this is there. We live in 2 different timelines, Tiffany, which is fascinating because there's like one side that says, "Oh, look at the economic numbers, we're doing great," and the other one says, "Look at the youth, we're doing poorly." And I look at the youth, so I mean that's my side, and I can understand both sides. But the retort to the rise in beef prices was, "Oh, we have a screwworm epidemic, and there's not enough cattle." It doesn't matter. That information doesn't matter. It doesn't make it non-inflationary because there's a shortage. It makes it more inflationary. Our inflation is probably around 8 or 9% right now that we're being told 2.7. The GDP is the most outdated statistic in the history of the world because it simply serves the upper class. You want to look at real stats? In 1990, the average home buyer was 31. 2010, 39. Today, 56 years old. You have to wait until 56.
I just said this. So, like, if you look back to 2007, right before the collapse, the average birth year of the home buyer was 1968. And if you look today, the average birth year of home buyers is 1968.
Yes.
The same people are the only ones that have enough money to buy anything. They're the only ones. Nobody else can do it.
But how do they treat this?
That is normal. And we're screaming at Jerome Powell to drop interest rates so Blackstone can borrow more money to buy another housing development, and not at all wondering how a child that is coming up through high school right now is ever going to even afford to eat, let alone to get out of their parents' house or go to college or survive college and the debt that follows, right? Like, we're not even asking those questions. But we do definitely need to make it so that Blackstone can borrow another $64 billion at a lower debt ratio.
To buy those houses, to rent them to Gen Z.
So that they can artificially inflate the value so they can borrow more against it in their portfolio.
That's correct. And I think it's important that people understand how these things work. When Jerome Powell reduces Fed funds rates, that does not mean your mortgage is going down. In fact, last time he did it, mortgages went up because they're based on the 30-year bond that nobody wants to buy anymore. So if nobody wants to buy a bond, the price of the bond goes down, the yield goes up. It does go up. We almost touched 5% last time, about 3 months after the last rate drop. You are absolutely correct. And here's one thing that Robert Infra, I would suggest everyone follows him on Twitter. Great guy. I've had him on the show before. Brilliant young economist. One thing that he brought up to me that blew my mind is that the wealth gap is easy to see. It's the trade deficit. The trade deficit is almost identically equal to the top 1%'s wealth. So you're watching a system being used against the middle class. Like they want more lower class. They're easy to control. They don't have money. They're going to want UBI. Now they have stable coins to give them UBI easier. By the way, the Stable Coins Act should have eliminated the need for a checking account because you could just hold a stable coin and get 3-4% on your money. But the banking lobby came in and said, this isn't going to work. So we're going to make it illegal to share in that, maintaining their status as the money hoarders for people. So while there are, and I'm not a eternal pessimist, there are good things like stable coins remove the power of the Federal Reserve. They work with the Treasury. We're reducing the influence of the Fed on money at a very minuscule level because they're still the policymaker. They're still the regulator over stable coins. But these acts, this is literally politics 101. Where, your guy's in office, so you cheer anything that they do. Read the whole document behind it. Watch everything that they do. There are trade-offs that occur. PE is a massive lobby. Crypto is the second largest lobby. Oil's the largest lobby.
Agro is a massive lobby. We've got pharma that's a massive lobby. Fran Pack is a massive lobby.
And where did this all come from? Like, no one talks about
You show me
Citizens
one of
United.
those lobbies that represents the interests of actual people.
Yeah, none of them
I'd
do.
love to see it.
There isn't one.
Nope.
Because Citizens United priced them out. So, like, Citizens United needs to be repealed. We cannot have corporate money going into the
constitutional
influence.
amendment so badly.
Yeah. You think we'll get it?
Yes, but it's going to take.
That was not a confident yes.
No, I do believe we'll get it, but it's going to come after. If we get it, it will come on the heels of enormous suffering.
Oh, sure. Sure.
And rage and possibly violence.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope we're able to do things between now and then. And then we could, but if we get it in the next decade, it will not have come the way I hope.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong on that. I'm not usually wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, the violence, I don't know that we get there. I don't know that America has that in them anymore. But yeah, but I definitely see protests.
I am going to vehemently disagree.
I know the guys that can create great violence, and they're a small group, but
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting pitchforks down Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm not saying that.
Of course.
I am saying that I have a very, very disparate following. Far right, far left, middle, everywhere, right? I bring people together because I believe we belong together. I believe that we have far more in common than ever should divide us. And I believe that we should be fighting together, absolutely. Not left, right, up, down, period. Okay, but I have never. There are 3 instances in the United States that I have seen bring people together in the last 2 years. And I have never seen that level of unanimity since 2014. 1, submarine gate.
Yeah.
People joyously made jokes as people were rotting at the bottom of the ocean. Oh no, one less billionaire, right?
Right.
2, Luigi.
Yep.
Have you seen how many hundreds of thousands of Saint Luigi shirts have sold on TikTok Shop?
Yeah.
Because I have. Now go look on Amazon. Millions. Okay. 3, what happened at NFL and Blackstone headquarters a couple weeks ago. If you think America has not got the appetite for what is coming, and I'm going to keep saying we're not there yet, and I would like to stop it. I believe.
I mean, these are so like the Luigi thing. First of all, I don't think Luigi did that. I don't know why a murderer would have all of the evidence in a backpack at a McDonald's. It's a ridiculous
Especially when they found his backpack in Central Park first.
It's a ridiculous story. He's clearly a Ponzi or a patsy. But at the same time, these are acts of terror. Like organized revolt is a whole different ball game. And there are people.
What if that's not what I'm talking about? What if what I'm talking about, what I worry about, and what the 1% are worried about, in my opinion, I mean, historically, when you reach this level of wealth inequality and you have these violent swings in the political spectrum, back and forth, left, right, left, right, left, right, as they speed up, which is where we are at right now. We're on like the 6th swing of what has historically never gotten past 8 swings in any civilization in history. What we're doing right now is watching in real time the pull and push of an entire entire movement of people, everyone in the bottom 60% feeling unheard, unrepresented. And when that happens, statistically, historically, every civilization breaks. And that does result in violence. I don't want that. And we are in the 6th of what has only ever reached 8 swings in all of human history, going back literally 6,000 years. No civilization has made it past 8 violent political swings back and forth. I'm not saying violence. I mean extreme right.
Extreme left, extreme one end or the other.
The pendulum gets higher and higher, right? What I'm saying is we are on the 6th swing in a very short window of time. And the other thing I'm going to say is that the reason that the 1% are pushing so fiercely for Luigi to be sentenced to death for terrorism, which, I mean, I don't think it would have been terrorism if it was me, but because it was who it was, I guess.
Sure.
Because people get killed in New York every day, and I haven't seen any terrorism charges on them. I haven't seen that. But the reason is because they are terrified that he will become the new inspiration, as Columbine gave inspiration for people that sought attention or that felt unheard. And that's what they're afraid of, is that he will inspire another generation of people that feel unheard. And I understand that. That is a valid fear. The problem is that if the wealthy were actually hearing what they should be hearing in that fear, if the 1% of 1% that are controlling all of the world right now, heard that, what they might want to do is question whether or not they could temper that and actually start giving back and actually start reinvesting, but they're not going to.
That's never going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it will. Go look what happened in the 2030s or 1930s, 2030s.
Well, they
we're
were
coming
forced
into
to
the
give it
30s
back
again.
then.
We're almost in the 30s again, and these roaring 20s, I'm about done with. So, but I mean, like, really, if we want America to survive, it will happen, or America will not survive.
I think the 20s and 30s is a good, a very good, what's the word I'm looking for? Analogy for this. We are going to have a roaring 20s for the next couple of years, and I think we're going to experience the 30s after that when the actual reality sets in. You can't have PE ratios at 40. You can't have interest rates being dropped at a time where the economy is this stagnant, where money printing is prevalent. But the key here is the weaponization of information.
Need cheaper debt.
Of course.
Eric,
it's not cheap, it's free.
Need cheaper debt. Be damn the jobs.
Well, that and the jobs, the billionaires need breaks on paying people labor. That's why we have H-1B visas flooding our country, stealing jobs from people.
And there is no concern whatsoever that AI on the conservative side is expected to displace 96 million jobs in the next 5 years.
Oh, but you'll love this.
Absolutely lower interest rates for the people cutting them. Yay!
This is the best part. I just read something from a friend of mine sent it from an Indian publication saying that the AI boom will create more jobs, which is ridiculous on its face. But why would that information come out of India? Because they're sending 500,000 people here every year to do the jobs that our graduates should be doing.
Wait. If it's creating more jobs, it might create more jobs in India. Have you
Not
seen
here.
how much cheap oversight they need for the AI that's messing up? So there was a really shocking statistic that came out yesterday, or day before yesterday, that said that of all of the AI implementations that have displaced jobs in the United States, all of them, 95% have epically failed.
Yes.
Because the companies did not build the necessary infrastructure to actually scaffold the programs to make them effective. They just rushed to cut jobs and deliver on all of those amazing returns for their investors, right? And none of them are going to hire people back. They're just going to displace that onto existing employees that will get no more money. And they will decrease the value of their brand, but they will increase shareholder returns in the short term. 95%.
It's grossly obvious to me, talking to you, like we're on the same timeline. Like I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing. I talk to people on the other hand that are like, what are you talking about? The rates of return on stock are going to be incredible from efficiency. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Who's going to be able to afford the products they produce or the services that they render? Because you're just watching this discrepancy.
Why do people, this is so frustrating to me. I think I might have actually talked about this in your last episode. When my son was 7, I had a very viral video where we were watching the Lego movie. And if you've never seen it, there's a corporation that controls everything called Octan. And Octan is led by President Business. And President Business is controlling the world. And there's the regular people just buzzing along, happy to be buying their $30 coffee and doing everything they're told. And one day
everything is awesome.
They get, a wake pilled, and all of a sudden a switch flips and the special goes, wait a minute, I love President Business. He's such a nice guy. He makes good stuff. Like he makes all radio stations and all TV shows and all schools and all broadcasting and all surveillance systems and all voting machines and all history books. Wait a minute. And my son goes, Mom, that's like the warning on Monopoly. He said Monopoly. It was very cute. That's like the warning on Monopoly. And I go, and I happen to be recording myself cooking at the time for a video. And I was like, tell me about that, bud. And he goes, when one person has all the money, Monopoly was a warning. When one person has all the money, everyone else has no money and no one can rent for you. And the game is over for everybody.
7 years old and he understood that.
Why do people not understand that game was created as a warning? Because if anyone acquires monopolistic wealth, then eventually the class of consumers no longer has the wealth necessary to consume what you are selling.
That's correct.
Let me be clear. These monopolies, what happened with Larry Fink this week, Eric?
Did you became the head of the World Economic Forum.
The man who has single-handedly manipulated every single major corporation in the world to gain controlling interest and board seats in every major publicly traded company in the world and most private equity major funds. who already controls everything, and all of our politicians, is now in charge of the same seat of power that created this statement, "You will own nothing and be happy." What could go wrong?
Right. I mean, it's all
We're
intertwined.
game, set, match, and people don't understand.
Right.
It's killing me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many evidence. Like I miss having going to kids movies. By the way, mine are older now and driving and all this stuff. But I remember the Lorax, the same
Yes.
thing, right? There's one. Was it
Yes.
the Lorax where he controlled the oxygen? You had to buy oxygen from him,
Yep.
and you couldn't go outside of the gated land. And when you did, it was dead land, and all the truffula trees were gone. And like we're kind of watching it. Like BlackRock is a self-devouring snake. I mean, that's what it is. It's a snake eating its own tail, and it just took the first bite of the tail. So when you have complete global control, what you're talking about is evident. The vacuum effect of wealth, money to wealth right now is at an all-time high. It really accelerated in 2020 with the pandemic. That was like a
When we
$4.5
destroyed
trillion.
millions of small businesses and allowed corporations to stay open and profit.
But yet people didn't get this. So Tiffany, I was in McKinney, Texas, a little tiny town, beautiful little downtown. I was sitting there with a guy I had met like a week before. I was working with him when I just moved here. And I was trying to explain to him what was happening in COVID, this transfer of wealth, 4.5, 4.7 trillion from the middle class to the top 1%. He said, "That's crazy. We need the protection. They're helping us." And I said, "Look, you see that hardware store? It says open since 1931. That now has a sign on it that says going out of business. You're telling me it's safer to go to Home Depot than to go here?" Because Home Depot was open. Like this
That's
was
because they had
all put in
lumber.
place.
They made lumber the dividing line for hardware stores. I don't know if you know that. That's why
Yeah,
all the mom and pop hardware stores went out of business and Home Depot and Lowe's got to stay open. They had the most lobbying dollars. They had to
that's
find the thing
correct.
that they had that the other ones didn't. Just like in my state. Okay, my state, I had the second longest lockdown for children's recreation in the United States. My business was shut down for 17 months. 17 months. We could not operate. Larry Hogan, he was our Republican governor. So you would have thought maybe we'd have done okay. Maybe. They were reopening the Republican states a little sooner. Larry Hogan, when he locked us down, wrote in a carve out. The only carve out to children's recreation was that martial arts studios could stay open. All contact sports and non-contact sports had to close down. Anywhere children could go and play had to shut down, even outdoors. Outdoor, like play in the woods, Tinker Gardens had to shut down.
Yeah.
Everything had to shut down except martial arts studios. Quick, ask me what his wife's family is invested in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, why martial arts studios?
And they flourished. And the rest of us, my city and my little tiny town alone, 27 children's businesses in my little tiny town, gone forever. Gone.
A whole generation vaporized
Don't
in 1
worry.
year.
We created 505 new billionaires in 551 new billionaires in 505 days of lockdown. Everything is
Unbelievable.
fine.
Yeah. No, and it hasn't changed. It's not like the wealth transferred back at any point. It's actually getting stronger. The top 1% are gaining more momentum. And the middle class is gone, Tiffany. We don't have a middle class. We have a serf system at this point.
Because even the people that would have been middle class even 3 years ago, today are barely making ends meet. 4 steaks just cost you $100 to cook at your own house. 4 steaks, okay? At Sam's Club, 4 steaks are $80 to $90 right now.
Yeah.
Okay? Ground beef just doubled in price. Okay? Right now, we are facing a circumstance where people that would have been considered middle class just 3 years ago, 3 years, are now barely making ends meet. And what we're dealing with every day is that there's an economist I really love named Gary Stevenson. He's based out of the UK. Huge fan of his.
I've read his, yeah.
Okay. He explains it so well. The problem is very simple. Okay. Historically, like what I know are that statistically, throughout all of American capitalism, every time any product increased by $1 in inflation, 93% of that, 93 cents of that was reinvested and passed down into the community or to operations or to employees. It was reinvested. And only 6 to 7 cents was funneled away as inflation profit. Okay. In our current circumstance, those numbers have flipped. And now roughly 6 cents is reinvested back into people and 93 cents is funneled away to billionaires. When you take 93 cents of every dollar of inflation and you're just creating just money raining from the heavens for the 1%, and nothing rains back down to reinvest into the people that need to be able to buy what you are selling, you have reached the end of monopoly. Okay. You've reached that end. And Gary Stevenson, what he says is that as you get this enormous wealth, when a person like me or you gets our paycheck, we're going to spend money on our mortgage. We're going to go out and go grocery shopping. We're going to pay for our kids to like after school program, or we're going to put them in soccer. We're going to go down the street and get our hair done. We're going to go and reinvest in doing something for our house. We're going to get a car, or we're going to pay a car payment, or we're going to fix a car. We're going to spend money and reinvest in communities. And a large percentage of what we get as our pay gets spent. But when you have the kind of money that is being concentrated right now, there is nothing they could spend fast enough to reinvest it the way we could. Period.
Right. True.
And so when we continue to bail out billionaires that could never spend the money they have while abandoning the working class of America that doesn't have enough money anymore to make ends meet, what you're going to have is this constant cycle where the only thing they can buy are bigger and bigger things because they have big money. And there's nothing else for them to invest in that's small anymore. Nothing.
That's true.
Okay. So you have a death spiral that is almost unreversible without forced divestment. Okay. And it's not like the billionaires are even recognizing their danger. I mean, we know they are because they're having meetings in billionaire bunker, Idaho. And the only question they're asking of economists and great thinkers is, how do I keep the security I hire at my bunker from turning on me and taking my resources? That's what you care about with your billions, moron? Like, how about we don't need to go to a bunker because you reinvest in your communities? You're never going to spend it anyway.
And they all have bunkers now.
They sure do.
All of them have bunkers.
So the point is that when we reach the level of wealth inequality we have reached, the money cannot get back down into the communities once it has been funneled away because they have no way to spend it. They could, what are they going to do? Buy everything at every Walmart in the country? What are they going to do? They're going to go like buy up every mom and pop business in the country? No, I mean, they're doing it through private equity. They're consolidating it quickly because they need to buy bigger and bigger things. They're just have consolidators out buying up all the vets and bundling them together and selling them off. And then we're going to buy up all the roofing companies, bundle them together, sell them off. And then we're going to do the HVAC companies, the plumbing companies.
Don't forget to strip the assets. Don't forget to strip the assets.
Break it down, make it worthless, planned obsolescence. We need. And at not one point have they said, let's build a museum. Let's go reinvest in some playgrounds. Let's go build a school. Let's
Organic
go reinvest
food.
in education. Let me tell you, the billionaires in the 30s, they may not have properly reinvested everything when they were broken up, but they sure built some stuff. They created some jobs because they were scared. People need to be more scared because we're not going to be able to buy anything soon. And what's going to happen is that's not going to end them. That's what we want to believe. It's not going to end them because there are other places they can move to create capitalism and continue to consolidate their wealth. That's what's going to happen. They're going to move on and they're going to leave us here bankrupt and they're going to go to the next country they can manipulate with money and they're going to do it again until eventually a generation or two from now, there's nothing left.
Yeah, they'll be moving into South America very soon. South America is growing in as a destination home for some of these wealthy folks. You know, Tiffany, one thing people don't talk about. So I talk about H-1B visas all the time. I don't hear it on any other podcast really anywhere. The dangers. The other thing I talk about a lot, people don't mention, you've mentioned, is antitrust violations. Not only do we have monopolies, those monopolies run the country right now.
Yes.
And those monopolies have every inch of power in Washington, D.C. to insulate themselves, as evidenced by the fake antitrust lawsuit that's happening against Google, who's a clear-cut monopoly. This has dragged on for 2 years. It's gotten nowhere. These are fake cases.
This has been dragging on since 2019.
Yeah.
The Google monopoly case started in Trump's first term.
Yep. And it's gone nowhere.
We're just waiting for him to decide what to do and how many bribes they can pay out. Like if they don't break up Google and they don't force them to divest of Chrome and they don't force them to break all of their tying arrangements with Android, their own company, YouTube, which should also be divested, by the way, and with Apple, then this was all just a farce anyway. But and I'm going to tell you this, Eric, because a lot of people don't know this. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of energy, but I see a world where instead of, because they're eliminating class action lawsuits. Yes. They're making it impossible through forced arbitration and non-class disclosures. Okay. So they're eliminating them, but all those law firms are about to need to work. Most people don't know that there is only one type of criminal law that you do not have to have a prosecutor to pursue. There was only one type of law in American history where when it was drafted, it was considered so important to the success, the long-term survival of America, that they made it where everyday Americans could prosecute that crime. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Antitrust. We could all get together and fund antitrust cases. We can do that. We can do that right now.
If we had the capital to do it.
But the private equity firms are now buying the law firms.
That's right.
I don't know if you know that. Private equity firms are now allowed to own law firms and practice law.
Completely illegal 10 years ago.
Yeah. Totally illegal. We're making exceptions and carve-outs now. The first law firms were just bought. One private equity firm bought a law firm that's fully AI. We don't even need lawyers. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes back to the Lego movie. There are the two types of people. There are the ones who are exposing the truth, and there are the ones that just walk around singing everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
I mean, that movie was, there have been so many. So was Wonka. I don't know if you saw, like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was like my favorite movie as a kid. So I wasn't excited to see the Wonka story, but the way that they explained it, how they kept the secrets below the Vatican Church, and they used false propaganda to shut down Willy's, profitable store. I mean, they're leaking. They taunt us. I mean, they absolutely taunt us through programming. But antitrust, I did not know that antitrust is the only one we don't need a prosecutor for.
We do not have to rely on the state. It's just so expensive.
Yes.
And you're up against such big firms that no Americans could generally do it. But if we pooled our resources, we could. Now, there are lots of ways we can start to push back. And Americans are so overtired. They're so overburdened. They're so exhausted. They're so very much in fight or flight survival mode from just trying to exist in the world that has been created for them to ensure that they can't fight back. That this is not going to be easy. The things I'm suggesting for folks are not always easy. I try to give people easy things they can do to make a difference. We passed a law at the FTC, a rule change last year, by me creating a bot that allowed people to send a letter in under 60 seconds. And we got 5,500 people to send a letter in one day, right? Wow. That was an easy thing. But a lot of the things I'm asking people to do are not easy. They're hard. What I do is hard. This is not easy. I don't make any money traveling to come here and shoot episodes and interview people. I lose a lot of money. This is hard. This is hard. Okay.
Yeah, people like you and I can't be monetized. They won't monetize us.
They won't. I mean, I get offered money. I got offered over $180,000 to endorse Kamala.
Oh, I get offered money by crypto companies every day. Yeah, every day.
And I get offered money by the right as well. I've been offered tons of money by the right. But there are solutions. For instance, there are 18 or 19. One of them was changing this year through a constitutional amendment. There are 18 or 19 still referendum states in the United States where any citizen could write a bill that says any corporation cannot engage in the ownership of single-family homes.
Great.
You can write that bill. You can write that bill. You can get 10,000 signatures and you can put it on the ballot, and they will come for you. Sure. They will come for you, but you can write that bill today and you can get that law passed. You don't need your legislators, the bribery that they've encountered. You don't need these people that don't serve you. You can go around them in 18 or 19 states in America right now.
What are some of those states off the top of your head?
Nevada is a good example. Nevada is a great example of a voter referendum state. Arizona is a voter referendum state. Yeah,
Texas?
Absolutely. Texas, I think that you guys have, I think you guys might be referendum only on a constitutional amendment and maybe not. There's like some of them that are really nuanced. But Nevada.
I'm sorry I interrupted your flow. Keep going.
No, it's okay.
What can we do to help?
So that's like one thing we can do. Right now, for me, everyone who has a 401k should be contacting your 401k managers and saying that you are abjectly not giving them permission to invest any amount of your money in any fund that contains private equity assets. I do not. I'm sorry. Unless you're putting $1 million there, the fees outweigh the returns. You're going to give up 62% of your gains.
And the general lack of transparency is a big problem too.
There's no transparency. Yeah. And this is you cannot believe, nobody can believe that a mechanism that is designed, built, created, exists to strip mine other companies of their assets and eventually bankrupt them, which is what they do, could possibly end up serving you well. It's just whether or not you end up being the fund that ends up holding the bag when they flipped it too many times and that hot potato explodes. Okay? Are you the bailout? Are you the stopgap measure between now and the bailout? Neither of those is a good possibility for you. No. And that is why Forbes and Barron's magazine in the last 2 weeks have both published headlines that say private equity's golden goose has arrived. The 401k retirement windfall is here for private equity. It does not say private equity is the golden goose to retirees.
Correct.
It says that retirement is the golden goose to private equity. And people are not going to read that nuance. They're going to believe what everyone is telling them to believe.
Everything is awesome.
This is something that they should be doing now, right now. In a bunch of states right now, they're trying to give immunity to pesticide companies that are poisoning farmers.
That's correct.
Okay? The Maha Commission report just leaked a copy that says the only recommendation from the EPA on pesticides, the only one, is that they need to tell us how dumb we are. They need to create an education program to help the American people better understand how safe pesticides really are for us. Looking at us in the eyes with a straight face, while Iowa, a state full of nothing but the highest concentration of farmers in the U.S., has the highest cancer rates. Those are the people.
By far.
Those are the people that have access to fresh meat, fresh vegetables, fresh water, fresh everything, right? They're out living the green life, and they have more cancer by far than any other state in the United States, the farmers, specifically that job. But they need pesticide immunity. And again, I will say
it's our fault because we don't understand.
Immunity, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
That is not free market capitalism. Now, the real change is much harder, much, much harder. Okay. Right now, we have a system that is designed to divide us. That division really began the same time Citizens United became a thing.
Yep.
When money poured into politics, it also poured into special interest groups to keep us divided.
Yep.
Anybody who thinks that these special interest groups advocating for these like fringe like fights that are on the far right or left of what is otherwise a uniparty, right? Anybody that thinks that that is a natural grassroots movement, you are being manipulated. Yeah. 93% is the values that we have in common. Okay, BLM flag on the left, Confederate flag on the right. You two people on your block have 93% of your values in common. Sure. You have fewer than 10% in common with a billionaire. Fewer than 10. And yet we have allowed them to so horrifyingly divide us that all we do is fight with one another so that we never come up for air, look at one another, hold hands, grab some signs and pitchforks and look at them and go, we've had enough. Because as long as we fight each other with bread and circuses and all the distractions, then we're not going to work together to do what needs to be done. But what does need to be done is that we have to change some things. Okay? Right now, very, very plainly, all of our politicians exist under a basic calculus. Okay? These special interests tell us what to do, and we do what we're told. They tell us vote blue no matter who. We vote blue no matter who. They tell us vote red or else we're dead. We vote red. Okay? At no point do any of us ever have the time or the energy to do investigations and show up. And during all of this time, because these politicians know we're going to vote blue no matter who, or vote red or else we're dead, right? What they're going to do is they're going to keep taking money from special interests to not serve us because their jobs are secure. They have paid to make sure of it. This was a two-pronged approach. And so as a result, what we have to do is change the fact that like 0.03% of the voting population shows up to vote in primaries. I'm not even going to tell people to vote against blue or red. All you really have to do to change everything, truly, is just show up at a primary and vote against your incumbent. Vote for anyone else running against them. Primary your incumbent. That's all we have to do. But nobody shows up. Nobody shows up. Election day should be a holiday. It should be a national holiday. Everybody should get to go. They should all have the day off. Period. Election day should be a holiday. Okay? They should. For my employees, always they get to go vote. Everybody gets paid time off to vote. Okay? You get to do that. Right now, all of our politicians are more afraid of losing their donors than they are of losing our votes. Simple calculus. But if we unseat just a handful of them, that calculus changes. That's all it takes. That's it. All we have to do is go and say, we're not voting for you anymore. You don't represent me. I'm not voting for you anymore. And if you want to stay blue or red, it doesn't really all you have to do is create
it's all two wings of the same
politicians
bird.
That are afraid of losing your vote. And when we do, we should demand those politicians take a pledge. No PAC money, right? Agree to vote for any effort to pass term limits, right? Agree to vote for any effort, any single item effort. We won't even lump it, okay? Agree to vote for any effort to pass a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. That's easy. These are easy things that we all agree on. We all agree on this. No investing in stocks while you're in Congress. Scream it louder. Okay?
Yeah, that's the most
Why are people making
reprehensible
$174
thing.
grand a year turning into 100 millionaires?
Yeah. Every one of them. Every
And
one of
we
them.
all agree on this stuff.
Yeah.
We all agree. But none of us show up to the primaries to vote. I am begging the American population, show up and vote against your incumbents. All of them, right, left, don't care. Get them out and let people know we actually care, and the calculus will flip. That's all it will take. And we have a case study for this. We have an example. I have an example. Okay, so when's the last time we had a balanced budget, Eric?
I just read this not long ago. It was something like 65 years ago, 55,
Nope,
65
we've
years
had one
ago.
more since then.
Didn't we have one in the 90s? Weren't we balanced in the early 90s? 93, 92?
96.
96, yeah.
We had a fully balanced budget, a budget surplus, and we paid down the deficit. Do you know why?
It was around the same time we let China into the WTO.
Nope, that's not it.
No, don't know.
And I want to be clear, all of those budgets, all of those cuts, all of those surplus initiatives were passed with 98% approval on both sides. What would unite our country enough to make them cut all of our spending and reinvest and lower and actually bring down our superfluous bureaucracy? They were both so afraid they were going to lose. And the reason is because Ross Perot ran.
Yeah.
And when he ran solely on a platform of fiscal responsibility. He was going to balance the budget. He was going to cut federal spending. He was going to eliminate federal jobs and send people back out to the privatized workforce. And he got 18.9% of the vote, the total vote. And he was so close to making it to where no one won the Electoral College that it terrified the left and the right so egregiously that they ran to the middle. And in a single year, balanced the national budget, lowered our deficit. And President Clinton, immediately after the election, fired 110,000 federal employees in the first month.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of that year, another 370,000. Nobody was screaming about that when we were making cuts with Doge, right? But
right.
The last time it happened was Clinton, and he cut way more people. But they both agreed to it because they were so afraid they were going to lose their jobs that they had no choice. This is a very easy thing to do.
It's interesting.
But it's a hard thing to get across to people to help them believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I called this out on a Twitter space 4 months ago. Somebody asked me, you're entrenched in politics. You understand this. I think it's going to be a cakewalk for Republicans. And I go, it's not going to be a cakewalk for everyone. Everyone should be primaried. And I think America is going to see that. I don't know that I'm up for voting yet again at this point after what we've gone through. I think your strategy is correct. I think another strategy for people to do is to convert their fiat currency into Bitcoin and find people who use Bitcoin. That's completely outside the system. When you keep feeding these corporations, stop buying stuff from Walmart, stop going to these. We kind of have to. We're trapped, right? For some of our basic supplies, you're going to have to use Amazon.
You have to see
but look for local businesses.
With that, you can't Party City just went under.
Yeah.
Joann's Crafts just went under. What happened when Party City went under? All of the party supplies on Amazon almost doubled in price overnight.
Yep.
There's nowhere else to buy it from. And simultaneously, Walmart cut down their entire party division and move their stuff online so that you have to buy at their elevated prices with shipping and stuff.
Yep.
Simultaneously. When we have monopolization, the consumer is always the one who suffers. Always.
Yep.
And we are reaching a point where consumers can't afford to be consumers anymore. We're about to be living like it's the 80s. Everybody's going to have a homemade cake, and we're just going to give up on the Pinterest parties because we just can't do it anymore. And I support that at this point. My kids, I want them to live like it's 1985. Woo! Go. You know, but
get off your phone, go skateboard, do whatever you got to do, live a real life again and forget about all the nonsense. Because all these devices do.
My kids have no phones. My daughter's been the only one in her grade without a smartphone for almost 5 years.
Good. That's the way it
And she
needs to
hates
be.
me for it a lot of the time. I mean, she hates me for it.
Eh,
But
she'll love you in the end,
she
I
is
promise you.
well spoken. She has an outstanding vocabulary. She's amazing people skills. She's sassy. She's sassy.
Kind of like her mom.
I don't know where she gets it. But my girl, like, she's going to be marketable. She's going to have the skills necessary to survive in what's coming.
Yeah.
And she, I'm so worried about so many things, but we're not without hope yet. And I really worry that people think I'm like all doom and gloom. When I was on Tim Pool's podcast, he said I was his first, or one of the guests said I was his first Doomcast. And I was like, but you have to understand
It's just reality. It's
that
not
like
doom.
reality is doom right now, but it
Yes.
doesn't mean that it's too late.
Of course not.
We're getting close. We are. We're getting very close, but it's not too late. But every time I see another Palantir contract or another like Peter Thiel funded like initiative,
OpenAI.
did you see he's hosting I just saw on X that he's hosting some kind of Antichrist series this upcoming week. Peter Thiel is. Where
He already did.
And I'm like, what? Absolutely. Let's invite that guy to inauguration and get him in here.
It's an autobiography.
Let's definitely get ready to put his prodigy in, like, let's do that. Let's definitely, like, I have serious concerns, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, when people are turning to Peter Thiel for interpretation of scripture, we have a big problem.
It's water. It's just water.
It's all right. It's all right. You can do what you got to do. No, that is a very valid point. And he already did a series on the Antichrist, and he actually got something correct. I mean, he's a smart guy; he can read. But the Antichrist comes promising peace and safety. Like that. How much have we heard? It's for your safety. It's to create peace, but we have no peace, and
I heard
we really
that
don't
with
have
the
any
Patriot
safety.
Act, and I'm not believing it again.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky your laptop hasn't flashed out because TSA dropped it, and you have been flashing out. So we got lucky to get through that. I don't want to attempt that. We're going to close this down here, but Tiffany, just a bundle of information. Maybe I'm a different beast. Like, I don't belong to any gangs. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't belong to any clubs or cliques or partnerships. I'm just my own independent person. And I like evaluating reality. I'm eternally optimistic on humanity. Humans are amazing. Human beings are awesome people. There's so many good people out there. They're hurting though. And that's the reality. No one's allowed to truly express their joy because most of it is stolen away monetarily at this point in time.
Yeah.
And we have this. There are people out there, and I know them, and I don't talk badly. They talk badly about. They call me a doomer and all this other stupid stuff, which doesn't hurt me at all. Or Panikin. That's the most ridiculous name I've heard in a long time. We are the ones assessing reality. We're actually more hopeful. The things you're talking about, I talk about it financially all the time, and I talk about it with society all the time. We're watching a great revival of faith, right? Bad times push people into understanding that something bigger than them can help them get through their times. These are positive notes for humanity. We could just sit here and say everything is awesome and be the Lego movie for the next 20 years while we get raped from everything that we own, which is the intention. It's been written, stated intention for at least 2 decades now. Or we can understand what they're trying to do and pull the plug on the entire game.
Yeah.
And when that plug is pulled, that's when humanity truly comes to life again. That's when you start seeing a revival of just kindness and the good things about humanity. It's hard to be nice to people when you don't have money. I've been in points in my life where I'm digging through the couch for quarters. I wasn't a very nice person then.
I grew up in a foster household. I grew up literally boiling water to take a bath. I grew up very food insecure. We have so much potential.
Yes.
But I fear for our young people. There is no reason for them to have any hope right now. None.
Oh, if I could open the kimono of what I see in Gen Z right now, like Gen Z.
I'm so excited for what they are capable of, but I am so worried they may come just too late. I'm hoping we're going to get there.
Yeah.
I have immense hope for Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Yeah. Gen Alpha is going to be a straight beast mode. I mean, they are going to. Gen Z will be the I'm Gen X, so I'm like 2 years from millennial. I'm a young Gen X. Yeah, so Gen X, we grew up with this stuff. I remember sitting at a kitchen table, my grandpa using they do this. Who's they? I don't know. We don't know who they is, but we were brought up with it. And then there was like a 20-year cycle where no one talked about anything that wasn't in the news or the narrative. And now we're breaking out of that. And Gen Z wants nothing to do with the traditional narrative of what life should be. But you're right on the division. Here's another division that needs to stop: the blaming boomer thing. If I'll tell you what, if I was a boomer, I would have taken advantage of absolutely every single thing that they did. I would be a kinder person about it. I would deliver my message more effectively. But like, it doesn't matter. Stop
I'm
blaming
really only
boomers.
worried about the boomers in Congress, and I absolutely blame them entirely.
Oh, the ones in power, 100%. But like, Mr. Johnson, who lives next door to you, has a nice house. He's just a guy living his life, right? Like he took advantage of a system that offered advantage to him. And what we have to do is build that advantage back in where it's equal.
I do wish that I hope that they're becoming more empathetic to and waking up to like what is actually facing the youth, because a lot of them do think they're just not hard workers, they're just lazy. And
Oh,
that's
that's
not
going
the
away.
case.
That's not
That's
the
not
case
the
at all.
case.
Yeah, that's not the. I mean, we're not digging ditches for a living anymore. Like it's the transition has happened. I know a lot of Gen Z. I know a lot of boomers. I have a lot of friends of every race, color, creed, religion, age, and the boomers that I know are very empathetic to that because they're smart. They're the ones who are paying attention, who have
Their kids are
grandchildren.
moving back home. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I've already told my son, like, 18, I was out the door, but I told him, hey, listen, if you got to stay here till you're 22, I'd rather you leave here financially sound than struggle for 4 years.
Yeah.
My son, I'm trying to convince him to become an electrician in the age of AI. You're going to make millions of dollars in the first 10 years of employment. And you don't have to pay for college.
I'll give a good shout out to degreefreehannah.com.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
Hannah has really good examples all over her channel about ways that young people can make big money without big college debt.
Yeah.
And electricians is one of her favorites.
And college is a complete scam in every category of the word. Gen Z listening, don't do
Blackstone
it.
bought every single college dormitory in the UK, US, everywhere, and hiked those rates too. So like, there's nowhere that they're not. BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard isn't making our lives miserable.
Well, they got the idea from Rockefeller, who cornered the entire educational and medical market immediately through the petroleum business. So the United States is a long journeyed history. You know what I'd love to have you on here for in a couple months is just go through history, the lies of history.
Let's do it.
They're coming out. Dave Collum just exposed some the other day, saying, maybe we fought the wrong people in World War II. Well, no kidding. Bolshevism won. Like, history's a lie, guys.
Let's do it. Let's do another episode. Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's just go gloves off. I'm going gloves off. I can't monetize.
Let's do it.
They're going to tell us there's 81 views on this video. I know that there's 10 or 12,000 on it because I read the reviews, I get the DMs, but like if they're going to shadow ban, I'm just going to take the gloves off and bring every person on here who wants to let loose. I don't make any money doing this. I don't need to do this. I like doing this. And I think the world needs to know what the truth is. I own a company. So like, I'm not a podcaster. Amen to podcasters who make money. You guys definitely are awesome.
I am not one of them. I wish I were, but I don't take the money.
No, yeah, I mean the money I could, yeah, I mean I had the same thing. I literally get offered from crypto companies. Let me give you 10 million free tokens to pump this scam for me, and you can sell them. I'm like, I don't do exit liquidity, man. That's not what I do, and I advocate. I'm a Bitcoiner, number one. Like I believe in the separation of money and state, which includes corporations. I don't want corporations to control the money either. I want it to be an open sourced, decentralized world of money and AI. And unless we get there, which is why I do off-grid energy, I don't even want to deal with the grid operator. That's centralized. I'll make my own energy.
Well, BlackRock and Blackstone just announced they're buying utilities companies now.
Of course they are.
Just bought 2 utilities companies, 2 electric companies, and a hydroelectric company and a natural gas company.
Of course they are.
What could go wrong?
They have to be able to feed their own AI engine and the Aladdin program within BlackRock. So unless they have the energy,
all of those tasks will be passed along to us.
Oh, welcome to 46 to 48 cents per kilowatt hour for your home. That's what's coming.
Maryland, ours just went up by 35% in the last year and a half.
That doesn't shock me at all. I saw California is almost at 50 cents a kilowatt hour in some areas. 50. I produce energy off grid for 1 cent.
Starting a tangent. I did this. Sorry, that's my fault.
No, you're good. You're good. No, tangents are good. We're gonna do
such a good rap, and then I just.
No, we're gonna do this in a few months, and I'm gonna love the comments. Some people are gonna be like, "This is an amazing episode." Some people are gonna be like, "You guys are so pessimistic." What we're telling you is reality. That is the reality. Our predictions could be completely crap, right? I don't know. I actually don't see. I don't see America revolting.
I have a pretty good track record on my predictions, dude.
Me too.
Like, I have a real good track record.
Me too.
I wish I didn't, but I do.
For the things that I've predicted, I absolutely wish that I hadn't either. I kind of wish I never saw the writing on the wall. Ignorance is bliss, and that's what. Then the guy go back in the Matrix because the steak tasted so good. right? Like it's when you live outside that matrix, it's a lonely world at first, and then you meet other people like Tiffany, and you meet people like yourself who get it, and then everyone still makes fun of us, but it's less and less every year. There's less and less people every year that poke fun at us because they see it coming to reality.
Yep.
Well, Tiffany, always a pleasure to have you on. Your ball of energy. Congratulations on all the appearances with Timcast and InfoWars and the guys out there that have just really, really big engines. I hope we get a lot of people to see this. They probably will. No one will know that. But it's always great to talk to you. I'm going to try to make my way out to DC. I'd love to. I go to Bitcoin conferences all the time.
Come on
Some
out.
great
I'll be
people who
speaking
hate
at
the system.
Georgetown.
Oh, nice. I'll have to pray with holy water every
Come
like
on
5
out.
minutes in Georgetown. I will be there. I will make sure I get out there for that. So thank
Awesome.
you so much. So Tiffany, God bless you for all you're doing. God bless this country, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Eric.